Welcome to the Breve Music Podcast. I'm your host, Jermaine Harris. In this episode, I'll be discussing what you should do when you start making money in the music industry. I know I have an international listener base, but some of the things I talk about may be specific to the US, since that's where I have the most info about. However, I think everyone can take a few points from this podcast and figure out how it applies to your situation specifically. With that said, let's dive in. The first thing that you want to think about when you're talking about your music income is the difference between your reoccurring and one-time payments. Reoccurring revenue is something like streaming royalties, where your music is being streamed more than once, at least hopefully it's being streamed more than once, whereas an album sale or a purchase of a t-shirt is a one-time transaction. Understanding how regular your income is for those two types of revenue is extremely helpful for you when you're planning out your finances. Although the amounts of money from each source may be different, you should still consider setting aside money for taxes on both types of income. You will probably need to pay taxes on your income, so it's super important for you to track your income and understand how much you can owe in taxes. There's plenty of software available for you to track your money. Mint.com and QuickBooks are popular tools that artists use. Neither companies are sponsoring this episode, but I am definitely open to having sponsors. So if you work for either of those companies, feel free to reach out to me. Using tools like Mint and QuickBooks can help you a lot around tax season. You may even need to pay quarterly taxes. Check out the IRS website for more info about quarterly taxes. Once you've figured out how much money you should set aside for taxes, then you can think about how much you want to invest, save, and keep for personal use. You may not be at a point where you can take out a large salary from your music. If you are, great. If not, that's okay too. You probably want to focus on investing back into your business first. If there's any software that can help you with your social media or help you with your productions, you may want to get those first because you'll be improving your workflow and hopefully making higher quality music. Once you have enough gear to make your music comfortably, you've reached a fork in the road. Depending on how much income you have, you can choose to start saving money or putting money into investments. Depending on how much income you have, you should be able to do both, but if you're barely starting to make any money from your music and you don't need any additional gear, you should probably just pick one path, either save money for the future or invest it for the future. The biggest benefit for putting your money into a savings account is having easier access to it. However, you will probably be losing out on some potential income by not putting that money into an investment. If you did decide to put your money into investing, you could see greater returns over time, but your money may not be as easy to access. But the biggest benefit to investing money in the stock market is the return that you can receive from it. The average annual return from the stock market ranges between 7 to 10%, depending on how you measure it. Even at the lower range, you could see a larger return from investing your money in stocks rather than putting it in a savings account, which usually doesn't have an interest rate over 5%. However, it's possible that your stocks won't even get that minimum 7% return every year. Overall, your decision on investing versus saving can be a little challenging at the beginning, but once you start making a consistent amount of income, you should definitely be doing both. So that was an introduction to what you should do once you start earning money as a musician. I'll be following up soon with more info about different ways to invest, and we'll be talking about things like 401ks, IRAs, real estate, and a few other things. Let me know if you've learned something new in this episode, or if there's something that you'd like for me to discuss in more detail. Thanks for listening.